So today I would like to tell you about what I do and why I do what I do. Well, let me begin with when I was a child. Now, before I was born, my parents had a son. I have a brother. And when my mother was expecting me, my parents wanted a girl, especially my dad. And I was born. Now, I wouldn't have had a problem with that, but when my dad told me this when I was very small, he said, "You know what? We didn't want you." And so as a child, I grew up feeling I'm not wanted. I don't belong. I'm not accepted. And so throughout my childhood, I excelled in everything that I did just so that I would please my dad. I was very good at studies. I was a distinction student throughout. I excelled in quiz, elocution, music, sports, to the extent I used to run for the state at one time. All this with the intention to please my dad. And as I got into high school, I went for a state level event and came back with a cup. And my dad looked at me and said, "Huh, your school has gone so bad that you should get the cup." It completely shattered me. And so from there began another phase in my life where I started to take revenge on my dad. I started to do things to irritate him. Now, my dad was an army officer, and we grew up with army discipline at home. And one of the first things that I did was I grew my hair. I started to do things to really irritate and hurt him. And I became really wild, and my friends would pose challenges to me, and they would, make me do things that are crazy. So one of the things that they did with me was when I was in my ninth grade was if I could go sleep in the cemetery one night. I did, because all throughout I'm still seeking for acceptance and belonging, even from my friends. But nothing happened after that. A little later, another challenge came, and the challenge was this: if I could smoke a cigarette in class when the teacher is there. I did it. The whole class knew what was happening. The teacher, poor teacher, she had no clue. But the whole class knew that Albert was sitting at the last bench and smoking. I finished that, and right after the class, my friends came. They lifted me up and they said, "Albert, you're the man. You're our leader." And I thought I found acceptance. I thought I found a place to belong. And I thought it's the cigarette that gave me the acceptance. Now, soon I graduated, not in studies. I graduated from smoking to alcohol, alcohol to drugs, and even before I knew it, I was what we call a mainline drug addict, which means I would inject drugs. My life just became horrible. Meanwhile, I had to write my 10th standard exam. I went and wrote to fail, but somehow passed with a third class, again to irritate my dad. Then I was put into a college, and I've only seen the first day of the college. By then, my life was quite a mess. And in the mess, I got caught with the police many times, in and out of jail a couple of times. In all of this, my dad couldn't handle it, so he threw me out of home. I left home, went and lived with friends. Soon, I ran out of friends. Eventually, I was on the street. About 3.5 months of my life, I've lived on the street. And while I was on the street, one day, I saw this friend of mine who used to copy from me in school. He was coming towards me, and I thought I'd going to get something from him. But he saw me, and he turned and walked away. And that's when I asked this question: "Hey, what happened to me? Why am I like this?" And suddenly, something that I'd learned as a child came back to me. Now, for us who come from Christian homes, we have something called a Sunday school, where our parents go to church and we are left to study about stories from the Bible. So, being part of the Sunday school as a child was something that came back at this moment when I was on the street, and I suddenly asked myself, what happened to me? A song that I'd learned came back, and the song was this: "Jesus loves me, this I know." So I prayed my very first prayer, and I said, "God, do you really love me? I mean, look at this guy, he just walked off. Look at my family, they don't want me. Do you really love me?" And God gave me such a peace in my heart with which I knew that He does love me. I prayed my second prayer and I said, "God, get me out of this mess." And then I remember walking out of the park that I slept that night, made a bonfire of all that I had in my pocket. And as I walked towards my home, my mom was waiting at the door like she knew I was going to come back. And I knew that God had touched me that day. for various reasons. Firstly, I didn't go through any withdrawals. Now, being a multiple drug addict, being a mainliner, I should have had severe withdrawals. I didn't have any. I remembered that God had touched me. My family came back together. I knew that God had touched me. I went back to college, passed out as the best student of the college that I went to. Today, I have degrees from places I can't believe. I have a degree from Singapore, I have an MBA from Switzerland, and I'm involved in various things that sometimes I wonder how is it even possible. But from there birthed a dream, and this dream is today called Abhayam. Now, the word Abhayam in Sanskrit means freedom. And we want to give freedom to those who are into addictions, all kinds of addictions. So we have two homes. We have a home for men and a home for women in Bangalore at the moment. And we welcome anybody that is willing to come and be with us. And we see changes that happen from a life that has been destroyed to a life that is worth and being blessing to many others. And so from there, in our home now, we teach them skills. We teach them catering, carpentry, we teach them masonry, we teach them various life skills, we teach them music, and we have football that's compulsory, everybody plays. It's a very homely kind of a place. And all this birthed out of what happened in my life. The moment I decided that this useless life is going to be useful in the hands of God, God decided to take it and use it to be a blessing to many people. Today I'm married, never thought I would. Two wonderful children. My wife Lali is also with the work that I do. She heads the women's home. My two boys are in school, and we look forward to helping many more people struggling with addictions. My contact details are here. Do get in touch and let me know how we can help you, we can connect with you and make the world a beautiful place.